Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, my YouTube channel. Not that I have another channel. I'm not sure why I said that. Sorry about that. I was just thinking I sounded a little like Dr. Nick in my introduction there. Hi, everybody. From The Simpsons, for anybody who watches The Simpsons. So today I want to continue on with the next ink pad that I talked about when I was doing the inking 101 classes, things like that. So we're going to talk about a watermark stamp pad. This is probably the most versatile um, ink pad that you will have. It does many, many different things. So I'm going to show you a couple of different things today. We're going to go over embossing, creating watermarks, things like that. Okay, so this is essentially a clear sticky ink. You use it with stamps. So my stamp pad has been well loved. I've had it for many, many, many years. And that's fine. You just get the re-inker. I have a re-inker right here. It looks like that's the alcohol ink. Here we go. Yeah, so you can get the watermark ink refill. So the particular one that I use is Versamark. It's by Sufinico, and all sorts of good things to say about it. But there are lots of other brands out there. This is the particular brand that I like. I'm the most familiar with it. It's never let me down. I always get really good adhesion and really good results all the time. So this is the one that I stick with. But I know that Wow has one. Ranger, like Tim Holtz Distress Inks, has one. Um, uh, who else? Simon Says Stamp has one. Scrapbook.com has one. I know even Michaels has one. So basically, what you're looking for is a watermark stamp pad or an embossing pad. That's what you're looking for. Okay, it's a clear, sticky ink. Anything that is a clear, sticky ink will work. Okay. So that's what I'm going to be demonstrating today. So the first thing that I'm going to demonstrate is how does this work using embossing powder. That's probably the most common thing that people will use it for, is for using with embossing powder. So I am going to take out a large stamp, right? And it doesn't have to be a large stamp, could be a sentiment, whatever you like, doesn't matter. But the one that I'm going to pull out is this great stamp here. This particular one I got from Allie, so I have no idea who made this one or whatever. I don't know. But I'm going to put that onto my stamping platform, my stamping pad here. Now, what I've put in here is it's a sticky mat because I'm using a card, or sorry, not a card. I'm using a stamp that is larger than my card stock, so I won't be able to use my magnets to keep it down. So what I want to be able to do is hold this down and still have something hold my card stock. So I'm going to take a nice piece of white cardstock. Doesn't have to be anything special. This is just what is this? This is 80-pound white. I think, pretty sure this is accent opaque, actually. Accent opaque, 80-pound white. So, and as you can see, by doing this, so I can have my stamp come off of the edges of my card, but this stamp pad, this sticky mat, will actually hold my card in place so that if it lifts with my stamp, I'm not going to lose the area that I want to have it at. I always love that flower just kind of coming into the center there. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do this way, kind of centered in there. Okay, so I'll be trimming off some edges off of this piece of cardstock. But basically what I'm going to do now is I've got that on, I'm going to lift. Okay, so you can see, so that did lift my mat a little bit, but I can put it exactly back where it was into the corner here. I don't have to worry about it's sticking anywhere, anything like that. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my anti-static. Actually, what I should have done is done my anti-static before I put this on here, because now it's going to get anti-static powder on there, but that's okay. I'm not a perfectionist in that way, and I'll just make an effort to kind of keep it to the center here. Ooh, lots there. Yeah, I'm just going to go here like that. Give it a bit of a blow because I don't need that much on there. All right, so now I'm going to take my stamp pad and I'm just going to simply ink it up. Ink up my stamp. And you can see as I'm inking up, I'll move this more into the shot here. I'm twisting and turning. I'm not putting it down and twisting and turning because I don't want ink to get down below the raised ridges of my stamp. But what I am twisting and turning and using multiple angles, because as we use our stamp pads, we get used to hitting them in a certain area. Well, that means then that we're going to be not having as much adhesive or ink, if you will, in that particular place. So I like to kind of give it a good coverage and move my hand around in a lot of different angles. Okay, so now I'm going to close the door of my stamping pad, positioner, whatever you want to call it. I'm taking my little air hockey puck here, which gives me a really nice smooth, it's got this felt on it, so it allows me to push smoothly without giving too much pressure, but a nice overall pressure. Okay. And I'm going to lift up the door and I'm going to have a look. So embossing ink, as I said, is clear. So you're not going to necessarily see it. But I don't know if the camera or if the light will pick up. You can just faintly see where the edges are. Okay, so I'm just going to do this here and close that, put it to the side. Over there for now. And I'm going to take this card. Ooh, a little bit of glitter in there. Obviously, I was doing some other stuff. Maybe we'll do it the other way around. I don't normally have to do this, but just because I'm, yeah, I want to make sure that stays out of there. Okay, so I'm going to bring in some gold detail embossing powder. You can use whatever you want. I always find that it's more cost effective for me to get the detailed embossing powder because everything that I'm doing, if I'm doing a larger, like I want a chunkier gold, I can redo my embossing, right? Like I can do it twice if I need to. But I don't want to have to buy gold, let's say, for example, gold, and then I have to have gold. So I've got the gold regular, and then I've got to have gold fine and whatever. So if I get the fine, it will cover anything thicker, like if I'm doing a nice thick sentiment or something like that. But by getting the fine, I can also then do a fine detailed sentiment if I need to, right? Okay, and I'm just kind of checking in here, seeing where I've covered, dumping it back into my container here. Turns out I didn't need my little card there. And I'm just going to give it a quick tap. Okay, pretty good adhesion there. Now, for those of you who have not seen the magic of embossing powder, this is such a cool thing because essentially you take something that is a powder, so a solid. I mean, it's very fine. It's very fine and small, detailed, etc. But it is essentially a solid, and we're going to turn it into a liquid that will melt. Very cool. And then from there, it will go back into a solid and give us beautiful, beautiful shine. So I'm going to use my Heat It tool, craft tool. So this is for mixed media, things like that. And but I'm going to get it hot. I'm going to let it warm up. It's quite quiet, so I think I can turn talk over this. And now I'm just going to aim the heat. This one does take a little bit longer because it is for things like drying paint, those kind of things. But now you're going to start to see the magic of it going from that kind of dull bronzy color and starting to shine into the gold. As it shines up, you want to move. You don't want to keep the heat on it too long. You want it to just keep moving. Once it's heated and move, you've seen the change. Okay, I'll hold that up for those of you who are not familiar with it. I'm assuming most of you are. But look, you can see where it's kind of the bronzy color, kind of greeny, darky, whatever, and then into the beautiful shine. Okay. Now, embossing powder will burn or scorch. It can burn your paper. So you want to continue to keep it moving. Once it heats and you see it start to melt, move on to the next section. If you're using a barrel heat tool, definitely it won't take long at all. It doesn't even take this. This took less than a minute and it's fully done. But if you have one of the barrel heat tools, like holy man, those things get hot. So, and I know this thing looks like a hairdryer, but it is not. It cooks and burns. So you want to also please make sure that you keep your fingers away from your heat tool. I've known many people. I've been lucky I haven't burnt myself, but you know, people, if it can scald, it's warm enough. But look at the beautiful shine to that. Okay, so you want to give it a couple of seconds, just kind of let the embossing powder go back from its liquid form into the solid. And now it's perfectly dry. Okay, I can touch it. It's not going to wipe off. That shine is on there. Oh, that's a really good impression. I'm quite impressed with myself. Yay me. Okay. One of the other things that I recommend, this is just a silicone hot pad. I got this off of Ally. It's like you can grab dishes out of the microwave or out of the oven or something like that. It's like a little trivet kind of thing. But I like to use this because this doesn't retain heat rather than burning onto my desk possibly. So I like to have that as a base, just as an FYI. But now what I could do with this is I can watercolor and drop color into these areas, because this is going to have a little dam area that will hold the watercolor within it. Love it. How cool is that? All right, so that's one example. Just to show you another example, doing the same technique for those of you who are like, wow, that was pretty cool. How are we doing that? Okay, so I'm gonna pull out this stamp because I'm gonna switch to a different stamp. So I'm just now, because I don't like to forget. Oh, man. Last baby wipe of the package. So I'm just gonna give a bit of a wipe. I'm not really too worried about it being, it doesn't have to be stellarly clean, just needs to have a good bit of a wipe. A bit of a wipe. All right, so I'm gonna line this up back onto my stamp-ish. There we go. Okay. Put the backing on. I like to tidy up, as you all know, so, or some of you know anyways, I'm doing a tidying up and a reorganizing of my craft space challenge for the year. So I'm trying to clean up and go as I go. So I'll put this to the side so that I can put that away when I'm done the video. But the next one that I want to do is I want to show you what this looks like, or what happens, and how cool this is when you're doing a yeah, I'm going to show you how, and I'm not going to use the Watermark on this one, but I am going to use as I showed you when we were talking about pigment inks. Pigment inks can be used to also use for embossing powder, for clear embossing powder. So anytime you're using black embossing powder, the little specks get all over the place. So it's really difficult to get a really good, clean image if you're using black embossing powder. So instead of using black embossing powder or investing in a bunch of different colors of embossing powder, what I have, because I do a lot of Lavinia stamping and things like that, I invested in really good quality pigment inks, and then I can emboss in any color that I want. I can create black, pink, blue, red, green, just using my pigment ink and my clear embossing powder. Okay, so the embossing powder colors that I have a white detailed, a gold detailed, a silver detailed, and a clear detailed. That's it. That's all I've got. Oh, I also have a sticky embossing powder as well, but that's for a different technique. But I don't want to have a bunch of pots of embossing powder and things like that. I would rather have good quality inks and then be able to just emboss whatever color I decide goes best with my card. Okay. So rather than having to hunt and find all of those different things. All right, so let's show you how that works. I need a piece of paper. And I'm going to give it a little of a dusty before I put it down with my embossing buddy here. So I've got this really cool rabbit tail one, and it's got the embossing powder in it. Or sorry, not the embossing powder, the anti-static powder. And then we'll line that up right here into the corner, like so. Okay. And I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to pull this stamp. This stamp is really cool. It's called Crafty Friends. Actually, sorry, it's called Crafty Cottage by Tailored Expressions. And I just thought it was really, really, really cool, as we are all crafty. So I'm gonna line that up right there. Right. Close the door, pick it up. Okay, my cardstock has stayed in place, and now I have my stamp. So I'm just going to rub my hand over it. I've never used this stamp before, so I'm conditioning it. We talked about this in Stamping 101. So you want to just rub your hand, or if you've got a silicone, you can do a microfiber cloth, whatever. You want to rub, give it a rub. You want to condition your stamp. You'll get much better stamping results. So now I'm going to go in. I'm going to tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to move and twist my inking pad back and forth so that I'm touching all of the different areas. Now, the beauty part about using the stamping platform is that I can go back. If I don't get a good image, I can go back and re-stamp. So that's, I see an area there that I missed. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to, yes. Oh, and look, see, there's a U. I missed the U. You inspire me. So let's get that back over. That, catching all of the edges. Go. That up a little bit. All right, come back in. And again, I don't want to do chest compressions. I don't want a ton of pressure on this. I just want to give it a good rub, because all of these fine little lines, the more that you push them, there's silicone or yeah, rubber, okay? And as you push them and you squish the fine line, it has no place else to go. So it expands this way. So instead of having a nice crisp eye that's straight up and down, you get this one that, you know, starts to look like this because you've squished it a little bit too much. You've added too much pressure. So you don't want to do chest compressions. You just want to give it a rub. Oh yeah, the really great impression there. So I'm going to pull this out, bend my mat back here, just like that. Back in here, that to the side. All right, now I'm going to pull in my clear detail embossing powder. Remember I said I only buy the detail because there's so many different things that I can do with it. So I'm just tapping that to get the paper back inside. There's so many, every technique I can use the detail for, whereas there's only so many that I can use something, for example, like the ultra thick. Look at how thick those pearls are. There's only so many things that you can do with this. This is phenomenal on embellishments, things like that. It makes it look like a sticker. But on fine detailed things, I can't use that. So which one do I pull out the most? I mean, I've had that thing for, whoa, I'm going to guess here. I'm going to say I've had that for probably 8 years. And what's really funny is embossing powder will actually go bad. Like the plastic, I don't know how it goes bad, but it will. And it becomes less effective. So I want to be able to use my supplies. So this one, I know, like I can get the same effect as that ultra thick. I just have to do multiple coats. Like that ultra thick, I could get, it would take probably 10 to 12 coats of this, of the detailed, to get the same effect as I would have with the ultra thick. Okay, so I'd have to coat this, restamp it, coat it probably 10 to 12 times in order to get the same effect. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to put my tweezers onto here in a place where it's not going to be in the way. So you can see it's kind of gone opaque. Now let's make it shine. Make it shine. The quote is supposed to be make it rain, but I'm going to make it shine. Let it shine, 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 shine on me. Sorry, I'll try not to sing for you guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so basically what I'm doing with this particular tool is I've got it here and I'm kind of angling it up my paper a little bit, just so that some of the heat starts to get into all of these little areas. Close to the fingers there, gonna have to switch. So, and if you're watching well enough, you can see, even on the clear, you can see when it goes from the opaque color that it is, it's opaque color, it's not a color, from the opacity and kind of frostedness to the beautiful shine. Once it starts to shine, move on. Otherwise, you'll burn your paper, you'll burn your embossing powder. There's just a spot here on the G. It's gonna shine. Shine, shine, shine. There we go. Okay. So you can inspect your paper in the light. You'll see where it shines and where it doesn't. You know where else I missed? I missed on that Y. So let's get that go there. There we go. It's shiny. So now, because I use the clear embossing powder, even if I had left some on here, like if it had gotten stuck on here or something like that, you would never be able to tell. Now, if I had the black embossing powder and it had melted with all of this, I would have all sorts of little black specks here. Or I would have to get in with my paintbrush and flick off all of those little spots. I don't know about you, but I don't want to do that. That's a lot of time. Okay. So really cool. Now, over top of this, if I wanted, I can dry brush, like I can ink on top of this, and the black, the shine will still come through. But how cool is that? Isn't that a beautiful stamp? I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. Now, let's talk doing, I'm going to do the same stamp, but what I want to do, okay, I'm going to pull that right off. I'm going to give it a bit of a clean because it's got black ink on it now. So I'm going to give it a bit of a clean. Okay. My sticky mat as well. But now what I want to do is I want to show you what makes this pad. You can put away the black. We're done with the black. I'm going to show you what makes this pad so cool is the watermark feature. Okay, so I am going to take this really beautiful colored cardstock in this really, really pretty green color. Or sorry, it's not green, it's kind of a turquoisey color. And now what I want to do is I'm going to show you what tone on tone does, or a watermark. So again, before I start, I'm going to use my embossing buddy here, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to brush it over the top. And you can see that powder, that helps to remove any oils, I don't know, whatever got into it. So we want to remove any kind of extra moisture that might be on there. Yeah, any oils from my fingers. So, which is why I'm trying to touch it from the sides. Okay. And my stamp is now dry. I'm gonna line that up here like so. Okay. I'm gonna take my mat, my magnets, hold down my mat, and I'm gonna lift. Oh, yeah, this might still be a little too wet, but that's okay because I did measure it right to here, so we'll be okay there. I didn't push it down very much because I didn't want to get any extra ink. There we go. All right. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, so I'm not actually embossing. I'm going to use just my Versamark. Okay. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to ink up, just inking up my stamp here. Again, shifting it in different directions to making sure wherever I've got ink still on my pad, on my ink pad here, because again, we all get used to stamping and using our ink pads in the same way. So I try to avoid that by doing it in multiple different directions. Okay. So now I'm going to catch that, and my thing is crooked, but that's okay because I can change that afterwards. And that's a pretty good impression, but I want to do it again because I noticed that there are a few areas. So, because it's on my stamp pad, nothing moved. Just make sure it's back in the back corner there, which it is. Now, if you notice that you're having to ink up more than 2 or 3 times, like really more than twice, that usually means to me that you need to re-ink your ink pads. So whether it's your pigment ink, dye-based ink, although you really shouldn't be stamping too often with dye-based inks, but your watermark, if you're having to do it more than twice, yeah, you need to be re-inking. It's a good indication. Because the first time might be I just didn't push, I just didn't get enough coverage, I didn't have it meet the cardstock enough and create enough. I don't want a lot of pressure, but I do want friction to bring the ink off of my stamp and onto my paper, because it doesn't absorb, it sits on top. Okay. Huzzah. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, I could take this and I could clear emboss it, which would be lovely. But what I actually am going to do is I'm going to put this to the side and I'm going to let this dry, because I actually want this to be my background. And then I have something to the extent of, I don't want to get this on here, but it's your birthday. Crafty friends are the best. Crafty friends, glitter, joy. Look at how cool that is. I don't need to do anything else. I can do this beautiful sentiment that I already have prepared. So I'm going to hold by the other side here. Do something creative. Let's get together. Share some joy. Crafty friends are best. Isn't that going to be like, that'll be a lovely card just like that. I don't have to do anything else to it. It's really nice that way. And it's very simple, but effective, right? So I'm going to put that to the side and I'm going to let that one dry. Okay. So that's one background. Okay, we're using that technique. So I'm going to peel this one up. I'm going to put it aside. So I think I'm going to pull this one out and do some more of those tomorrow, but you guys don't need to watch that. Okay. So I will do this one more time, but showing you with a different stamp, because maybe you're thinking, oh, Corinne, that's not the best. We could do something so much better. Okay, well, let's give it a go. Maybe not so much better. I don't know, whatever. I did this really cool one that had, this is one of the reasons why I like background stamps, is because I can do this and put it behind. I did a really wonderful Christmas one that said, season's greetings, Merry Christmas. It was all handwritten as a background stamp. So it was one of these ginormous stamps. And it's not ginormous, it's a 6x6. But by having it be that size, okay, so this is a red rubber stamp, okay, red rubber plume stamp. So that means you take your mouse pad, this big black thingy, whatever, you take the mouse pad out of your stamping platform. Okay, so we're gonna hold on here. Put that down in the corner. But it was a really big stamp like this, so I was able to go all the way off, and then I could cut out, and I left a border of about 3/4 of an inch all the way around. So I didn't have to have a huge sentiment, but it still added a really lovely detail behind it. So that was really nice. Good. This is the first time I'm even using this stamp. Wow. Look at me. All right, so I'm going to pull this off and I'm going to stick this down. So I know that my card is going to go right here in about this area, right? So I'm going to stick this here like that, and I'm going to close and I'm going to pick this up. So it's going to pick up everything. That's okay, because I can put that back. That's the whole point about having this. Okay, and now I've never used this stamp like I just told you. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of condition it. So essentially I'm rubbing my hand and getting some of the oils from my hand, maybe some of the skin, I don't know, but just going to keep rubbing it like that. Okay. And I'm going to do tone on tone again. So I'm going to do this really cool green, bright green. All right. And I'm not embossing. So I put this aside here. So I don't need to use my embossing buddy. So I don't need to put the talcum powder or whatever on it. Okay, now I'm just gonna line it up into the grooves here. So if you don't find a sticky mat, like there are several that are out, Brutus Monroe, there's a lot of people that are selling them now, Brutus Monroe's company. You can get like one of your old Cricut mats and cut it down to fit in this. Just one of the ones that has a lower tack to it now. So you want it to stick, but it doesn't have to stick like woohoo stick, right? You just want it to be able to hold onto your cardstock enough so that you can put it back where it needs to go or where you got it from. basically. Okay, so I've got my green, really pretty green paper in there. And I'm gonna go in, same process. I'm gonna start inking up using my Versamark. Go in here. So while I'm doing this, something else that you could do on edges of a card like this, you can run your Versamark on the edge like this, and then put embossing powder on the edges if you wanted to have a grunge look or an edged silver, gold, white, black. Again, I don't usually recommend black, but you can do that with that as well, because it is still a sticky ink. Okay, so now just going to add some friction. So I'm giving it a rub, giving it a little massage, making its back feel better. I would love that right now. But anyway, so just giving it a little bit of a massage. I'm not pushing too hard, but I want to give time for the ink to have some friction, which is why I'm providing the pressure here. Through that pressure, it's going to create friction that will take the ink off of my stamp onto my paper. Because Versamark ink or a Watermark ink is very similar to pigment ink. It sits on top. It does not absorb into your paper. It sits on top, which is why it stays wet a little longer. Okay, we're going to lift. And I like that, but there's a little bit right here that looks like it could be done some more. So I think that's this area here. So I'm just going to go in, give it a little bit of a wipe, or not a wipe, a stamp here. Just going to keep going. Right. Come in, and I'm going to push. Give it a rub. Give it a rub. All right, and we're going to lift. Awesome. Looks great. Okay. Oh. Boy. I have nails and everything, real nails that are very sticky. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to close this up and put it to the side. Okay, so again, so now I've got watermarks all over my paper, tone on tone. So I don't have to worry about matching the color. This is going to be a deeper tone because I've added that ink on top. So it's just going to be a deeper tone of the color that is already there. If I wanted, I could take my clear embossing powder, pour that over top. It would create that tone on tone plus shine. However, I'm going to leave it. But look at what happens if I just do that. What a beautiful, I don't want to set it down on here because it's still wet. So I need to let it dry. I'm going to let it dry for an hour or a bit. Okay. So, but how simple is that? Okay. Close that, put that out of the way. I could also do, let's see, I've got that. Hi, what a cute little card for a friend or for a niece or a nephew, granddaughter, right? That's so cute. In fact, I think that's the one I'm going to make. I really like that one. It's really cute. Because I also had this one out where I could have done It's Your Birthday. That's nice too, but I actually really like the hi with this. I think that's really cute. So that's what I'm going to do. But that's how you put those together. Okay. So we've got tone on tone. So again, the wonders of, I've got a little bit of embossing anti-static powder on there. Okay. So the wonders of the Versamark pad, okay, or a watermarking pad. Okay. So I've got 1, 2. So by using this technique, it allows for a simple classic card. So a simple, elegant, non over the top card, but it gives you options without having to have a lot of extra supplies, right? I didn't use anything other than my ink and a stamp. Okay. This ink, I think costs $10, $15. I don't remember. I've had it for so long. And the re-inker, like I said, I've had this for 10 years. I still have not finished going through my re-inker. It's same on the same re-inker. So for $25 Canadian, I bought this and the re-inker. I've had it for yeah, probably 10 years at least is what I would say. Okay. Now I had colored cardstock. So this could be, these ones happen to be 80 pound, but you could do this with 65 pound stuff from Michael's or your local Hobby Lobby, whatever, wherever you're shopping from. That's possible. I've got tone on tone. I had some dies. I had a stamp. That's all I needed. I could have used my large stamps just right off of my desk. I don't have to have a stamp platform. I didn't have to have the sticky mat. All I needed was this. So I didn't even have to have embossing powder for these particular ones. But if I did have embossing powder, look at what I can do. Okay, so this, and then this has that beautiful shine to it and a little bit of different texture. Okay, so I can do that. And then also I can add a different level of shine by using a gold or a silver embossing. All right. And now for other techniques, I could use any kind of watercoloring or inking. This will, now that I've put the embossing powder over it, this will resist any ink or dye, something like that. So I could go over this with any dye-based ink and kind of color it in. Let's say I wanted to do an ombre effect. I could do yellows, greens. I could do a rainbow across that with my inks and my embossing, my inking brushes. I could do that. This, I could watercolor with paint brushes. I could also use my ink pads over top of it. I can color with the pencil crayons. I can use alcohol ink markers, although I do tend to suggest not using those near embossing powders that have dried because it can ruin your nib, because this will, it's kind of got a waxy finish to it, so it'll eat away eventually. If you're careful, you can do it for a little bit, but I would still take care of protecting your nibs with this kind of thing. But if you have any questions, yeah, please let me know. I would love to, if you have any suggestions, how else do you use your watermarking pad? Which brands do you recommend? This is the one that I like the best. I've had phenomenal results with it for many, many years. But I do know there are some other really great options out there. So again, I highly recommend, this is going to be your watermarking pad or your sticky ink pad. Clear sticky ink pad is the most versatile in your stash. The three inks that I recommend having are, sorry, excuse me, the Watermark, or your embossing sticky ink pad, so clear watermark pad, whatever that is going to be. I recommend the Gina K Designs amalgam ink. This is the obsidian color. I recommend an amalgam ink for a specific reason. It doesn't have to be Gina K. That just happens to be the one that I know of and the one that I know works really well. But in a black, it's an amalgam ink, and I recommend this because it's a hybrid, because you can use it for any kind of stamping technique that you're going to be coloring or using other mediums on. So for alcohol inks and watercoloring, dye-based inks, all of those kind of things, it will not bleed or reactivate. Other than that, if you're going to be coloring, you have to know what brand or what kind of ink you're using. This takes away all of that confusion. Okay. And then the third ink pad that I recommend that you start with is a really good pigment ink pad. This is for stamping sentiments and your any silhouettes that you're doing, because you will get phenomenal coverage with this. And it will also, it sticks to your stamps. It gives you really nice, crisp, clean edges. These ones do take a long time to dry though, okay? This one dries pretty instantaneously. It's not bad. These ones take a long time to dry because they also give you the opportunity to use your embossing powder with them, okay? So you can use clear. If you have the, if you have a pigment ink, whatever color you're using, if you put clear over top of it, that's going to be the color that you will see. So I could have done this in bright pink. I could have matched this cardstock if I had that color, this cardstock, whatever. If I, well, I don't use gold, but you know, whatever color I've got, bright yellow, oranges, purples, pinks, greens, blues, whatever I've got. If I've got it in a pigment ink, then I can create this beautiful shine and get a toner, also a tone. Okay. So I hope that again, I hope that answers your questions. I hope that shows you the versatility of some of the ink pads that you probably already have one of these. When you start stamping, when you start paper crafting, these are some of the things that people say, oh, you have to have. So you probably already have one of these. So yeah, I apologize for some of the camera technical difficulties. I am still experiencing internet instability. Seems like that's going to be an ongoing thing, but that's what it is. And I want you guys to have the information. So here we go. Yeah, But please let me know what you guys think, and what ink kind of pads you'd like me to try next, or show you next, or do demos, and see why you might want to have them. Let me know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will talk to you all soon. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.